Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. The presentation is about to begin. Elliot?
Well, thank you, Anna. My name is Elliot Markowitz, and welcome to today's webcast titled AI in Legal Ops, What Actually Works. And this event is brought to you by Law.com and sponsored by Concord. Well, before we begin, I'd like to go over some basic housekeeping items that will make your experience just a little bit more valuable. This event is completely interactive, and we do mean that. It features many customizable functions. For instance, every window you currently see, from the slide window to the Q&A panel, can either be enlarged or collapsed. So if you want to change the look and feel of your console, go right ahead and do so. If you have a question for one of our speakers, don't be shy. Please enter it in the Q&A field on your console. That widget is accessible on the left-hand side of your screen, where you see the question mark icon. We will try to answer your questions as we go through the presentation, or we may wait until the end of the presentation. But if we do not get to your question, don't be alarmed. You may receive an email response from one of our speakers. We do record all the questions, so please ask away. Also, there's some valuable research provided for you by our sponsor. If you go to the bottom right of your console, you can download that resource that they have made available. Just remember, the more interactive you are, the more valuable of an experience this will be for you. Now, today's discussion will focus on what's actually working in Legal Ops AI. No future predictions, just an honest conversation about where AI saves time, what implementation really does look like, and the mistakes teams make the most. Today, you will walk away with information about 3 AI applications that legal teams are using successfully, real implementation timelines that are realistic from someone who's actually done it, and an understanding of the #1 mistake most legal teams make when starting with AI and how to avoid that mistake. All good questions. So here to walk you through these issues are Concord CEO, Matt Lumeau, and Head of Sales, Zach Hintze. So take it away, Matt.
Thank you, Elliot. Hi, everyone. It's very nice to see so many people already here. I see some of the customers of Concord, so it's very nice to see you here. I see also new names, so welcome to this webinar. So today the theme is AI in Legal Ops, what actually works. Let me go right away into the agenda here, what we're going to talk about today, and then we'll do a quick round of introduction. But basically what we want to start with is the 3 big questions that we hear all the time coming from legal and legal ops today when it comes to AI and the role of legal and legal ops versus AI in particular. We'll explain a little bit about how we got there, what's currently working and not working in particular. I think these questions are just a symptom quite often of problems that people face today. And then we'll talk more about what we think is the current framework of what actually works, and we'll show a little bit of how Concord is solving this. And then, more importantly, we'll go back at the end toward the question that we are going to show you right away to make sure that they are answered. So as Elliot mentioned, this is an interactive conversation. Please absolutely post your questions. We'll try to take a few of them during the presentation, and we'll make sure we'll save time also for other questions at the end. That's about it. Let's go straight into the content. Let's start just about introducing ourselves. Zach?
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. I saw a lot of customers that are in our meeting as well, a lot of people that I work with. So thank you all for joining. We're excited to present to you today. I'm Zach Hintze, the head of sales here at Concord. I've been with Concord for 10 years now, based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And it's been really cool over the past 10 years to work with all of our customers and prospects, because I get to hear every single day about these exact issues, what people are looking for to make their job and their processes smoother and easier. So I'm happy to tackle that today.
Thank you, Zach. And so I'm Matt. I am the CEO and the co-founder of Concord. So I've been at Concord since the beginning. That's 2014 now. As you probably have guessed by now, but I'm actually French. Apparently, I still have an accent after spending 10 years in the US. I am based in Austin, Texas, where Concord is headquartered. And I have a bit of a weird background. I have done a lot of things, from studying Japanese to a business school to public law in France. I used to work for the former French president, Nicolas Sarkozy. And I also spent about a year as a project manager reporting to the CEO of a company called Iliad. It's a $12 billion telecom company in Europe. And the reason I'm mentioning this experience in particular is because this is kind of what created Concord in the first place. When I was working for that CEO, it was, I think, $6 billion of revenue at the time. One day, the CEO called me in his office and was like, "Hey, Matt, we just bought a competitor. They are losing a lot of money every day. And so I would like you to help us cut costs. So please take a look at these 500 contracts we have with 500 vendors so we can save about $200 or $300 million." And, this was back in 2010. So I was way younger than right now. I was also very naive. And when he gave me that mission, I was very happy about it because I felt so special that I was given such an important mission. But after about 5 minutes, I realized that it just gave me the worst job I ever had at that time. Because 500 contracts at that time, 2010, well, I had to actually find them. So, the old file cabinets that I had to go through, we obviously couldn't find all the contracts. So it gets very awkward when you have to call one of your vendors to ask for a copy of a contract. And then we had to read the contracts one by one. So I built an Excel spreadsheet with 52 columns and 500 lines. Just to understand where we were. While we were doing this, we basically quickly understood that we already missed a lot of deadlines, that there were a lot of clauses we were not respecting. And then came the time of renegotiating the contracts. And in that case, it's hundreds of Word documents back and forth by email with your lawyers, the vendors, and people working on the wrong version, etc. And so I was coming home at that time every single night, so depressed, asking myself, what the hell? Why are we managing contracts manually in a $6 billion revenue company when at that time we already had software for everything else? And that's basically how I told myself, well, instead of just complaining about it on my couch, how about I do something about it? And that's how we basically started building Concord in the US 2014. And so, so the problems that, a lot of people are facing and still facing today, I went through them very directly. And so I understand the pain. And this is what is driving us every day at Concord. All right, so enough about me. Let's talk about the actual questions that you, the audience, typically we hear a lot in our calls. Zach, do you want to guide us here?
Yeah, absolutely. So not only in the calls, one of the unique things about me is because I've been at Concord for 10 years now, I've been able to work with thousands of companies over those years, literally thousands, not making that number up. And I hear the same things over and over again with the contract management problems and the issues, but something that's really interesting that's happening today is people are starting to talk more and more about how AI is impacting their company, what that looks like. And so that's what we really want to address today. So we're going to talk about, hey, what's the current role today? Obviously, legal ops is a great role. It's kind of a newer role, been around for 10 to 15 years now. It's really starting to evolve. I was at a legal conference in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and as soon as you walk into that trade show floor, everything's AI, right? Every person, every company is talking about AI, how it's going to change and impact the world. And so we want to talk about that a little bit more specifically about the role of legal ops and how these processes can change, and then what that's going to look like in the future and what we can do today to really prepare for that future of an AI-enabled world. So talk through that. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, yeah, so basically this is the big question. And, behind this question, I think the idea for us was to kind of start with where are we today when it comes to AI in particular and legal ops. And the reality is it's not going very well. There's a lot of interesting things, but there are also a lot of things that just do not work anymore or do not work at all. And when we've been looking at this, basically, we see that there is mostly three problems today that companies are facing. The first one is broken data. The second one is broken workflow. And the third one is broken learning. Zach, you want to give us a bit of your experience about these three specific problems when you typically work with customers?
Yeah, so going back to this trade show a few weeks ago in Las Vegas, it was a big legal ops conference. And over again, I had people coming up to our booth saying, I'm sick of my CLM. We're not happy with it. It's not being used correctly. And it's not even really a CLM specific issue. It's much more about the framework and the workflows that these companies are trying to put into place. If you think about it today, a lot of companies have lots of different places they're storing their documents or contracts. The metadata is all over the place. They're in silos. The sales team has maybe their CRM, legal team has their tools, marketing has them maybe in a Google Drive. And so things are really all over the place. And the number one thing that I hear from everyone I talk to is like, we just want everything in one central location. Also, that metadata for those documents is not being correctly imported or tracked because people are not taking the time to manually input it. And then also, if you're not in the loop, if you're not in those silos, you really don't know what's happening. You don't know how to improve processes. We had an interesting situation at Concord even a few weeks ago. Matt came into one of our contract templates and was like, we can make this so much easier for the end user, for the people actually signing these agreements. And so we were able to go in there and make some quick changes. So I think those are some quick things. We've realized that the framework is very much broken. People are looking for ways to improve that. And I think that's what we're going to address today.
Yeah. So framework is broken. The question is why, right? And so we basically see two main reasons why this framework is not working today. The first one, honestly, it's CLM. The truth is, I think the CLM industry made a lot of promises the last few years, and well, they didn't keep it. It's just the truth. I think, there is here, I couldn't resist to use the Gartner hype curve. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. Typically, when a new technology comes out, there is a lot of expectation. Everyone is very excited, and then reality, starts. People start to understand there are a lot of problems with it. And I think when we look through the CLM industry, and I've been in this industry for 15 years now, so I've seen different cycles. I think very clearly there were maybe in 2019 until 2022, a lot of hype around the CLM. A lot of people were buying CLM, and then they realized that it didn't solve all their issues whatsoever. And I think the last 2 years, I think a lot of people started to kind of lose hope in CLM, and now we're starting to be past this. I think the companies are starting to be a bit more mature, the CLM companies, and I think we're starting to see now that slope on the line, I don't know if you're able to pronounce that word, enlightenment, close enough. And I think things are starting to change a little bit, but I think we're really past that curve now. And why did CLM didn't really work out for people at the end of the day? Implementation are just too long. Many CLM, it's a 6 months, 9 months process, which is just not acceptable anymore today. We tend to try to get people live in about 2 weeks at Concord. So this is a very different approach we have. Systems tend to be too complicated, and it's a lot of configuration. And if you want to change something after, like a workflow, you have to go through the CLM company, and then they make changes. It costs you more, it takes more time. And at the end of the day, quite often the solutions are just too expensive for the value that they're providing at that time. And so the reality is, in the end, CLM has not really managed to solve these issues. And you can just see this by adoption. Less than 30% of legal teams today have actually a CLM really implemented that they use, which is interesting, right? The second reason why I think the current framework is broken is AI itself. The reality is today is that there are about dozens of new tools coming out literally every single month. We're very, AI forward at Concord, and it is a nightmare to track. Not even the legal AI that we use on our end, but it's just like on the technological side for us, the developers, etc. I probably spend about 2 hours a day just trying to keep up with what's going on the market. So it's very complicated. And so a lot of tools, a lot of them are actually not working that well. There are a lot of promises here, once again. No consistency in the way people use AI, even though everyone is using AI. We know now that about 80% of legal team actually use AI on a weekly basis. But we also know that about 70% of employees in a company use AI that they're not supposed to use. So a lot of people are using it. They're not using necessarily the things that are approved. And so it gets a bit messy. And same thing when we look at the curve of the hype from Gartner, right? I do believe that we're starting to see a little bit the top of that curve. I think a lot of expectation, as you all know, for the past 2 years. And people start to understand really the problems with AI. It is not that easy, and it can't do everything. Things are changing every day, but there's just a lot of things that need to improve, and people need to be very careful with. So we're actually going to talk about this very directly. All right. And I see a question about what the acronym CLM means. It's Contract Lifecycle Management. It's actually a good reminder that this is a bit jargon in the industry, but CLM, Contract Lifecycle Management. All right, so what does that mean for people today with all of these problems? It means several things. Well, first of all, let's be clear. I think the work for people in legal and legal ops is getting harder by the day. There's two reasons behind this. One, companies are just asking more and more and more from their employees, I think everywhere, but it's specifically true when it comes to legal. There is less resources, there is a faster expectation, but bigger expectation when it comes to turnaround. Everyone has to do things faster and do it better. And on top of this, we're asking people to introduce new technology that doesn't really always work and sometimes creates issues. So they have to do more work faster, and they have to do it with tools that don't necessarily help them, but they still have to manage. And so I think it's a bit complicated. So that's the situation today. Let us know in the chat if you feel like this is relevant to you, but this is what we've been hearing every single day from our customers or people that talk to us when it comes to Concorde. So enough about the problems. Let's talk about how we can actually solve all of this. All right, so what we're suggesting today is a way to fix directly this problem that we just mentioned. And we're going to show you a little bit about how we're trying to do this at Concorde. We're not going to turn it into a massive demo. This is not the point, but we'll show you a few things about what we're currently doing. We'll show a lot of our existing customers that are here. I will be happy to see a little bit of a preview of what's about to be released on Concorde. All right, let's talk about this. So we mentioned we think that there's three problems today: broken data, broken workflows, and broken learning. And so the way we typically help our customers face this is to help them by standardizing everything that they have, help them really define the proper flow, the workflow in their system. And the third thing is, how do they start optimizing when they have something in place? Because everything needs to be changed over time. Your processes are changing. You need to be able to optimize. And so, how do you standardize in general a CLM? First, we need to talk about AI extraction. The AI, when it comes to CLM, was obviously first and foremost used to extract data from your contracts. The problem is, and that's something that we have been facing honestly at Concorde ourselves, is that a lot of CLMs created AI extractions, but it's the way the vendor thinks about that extraction. And so it's very rigid. That's not necessarily the way you would want to extract your data. And that's been a big problem. Zach, you want to talk actually a bit more about all the problems when it comes to AI and what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I could go on quite a bit about that, but I think the big thing with AI extraction is exactly what you're saying. People want specific fields, because there's so many different companies that have so many different pieces of metadata that they care about. If you're in a pharmaceutical company, you care about certain compliances and see if these trials are going to be done with certain tests. We have a lot of pharmaceutical companies that use Concorde. If you're a Major League Baseball team, which we have a few customers there, then you care more about vendor management and making sure that people are paying on time. So I think the important thing with AI is really manipulating it and making it work based on your specific needs as a company. And I think that's where, we're headed with this.
Yeah. So you need data that actually you control. You can extract it the way you want. You need to make sure that this data is something that has been unified across different tools. You need one source of truth, and you need to make sure that this data is accessible everywhere, right? That's the whole point of standardization. When it comes to the broken workflow, what we typically see is to really try to help people start to understand one thing. The whole concept of the CLM is going to be the one place where everything is happening has been wrong from the beginning. I think that was a little bit of the promise. It's like, hey, everyone, you'll work on Concorde or a different platform. This is the only tool you need. The reality is not this. The reality is people do work in different tools. They would want to work on the CLM. They would want to work on Word, on Google Docs, on ChatGPT. And so how about we just embrace this and we make sure that people can do this without having to be forced in one single system. And so it's really about letting people work the way they want, but making sure that AI, and that's why it can help very directly, is able to ensure consistency between the different tools, maintain the workflows, etc. So we'll go through this in a second. And then the last piece, obviously, is optimizing. At the end of the day, it's all about data. There are a lot of very interesting optimization that can be done with AI. This actually works. It's one of the things that AI can do. And so same thing, we'll go a little bit through this. Okay, so now, very quickly, a few words. I need to do my job to talk about Concord quickly. Who are we? So we've been around for 2014. We work with thousands of companies, mostly in the US, but we have companies all around the world. The specificity of Concord on the market is we've been always very horizontal in our approach to contract management. Some CLM are really focused on by legal, for legal, very specific industry focus, for instance. That's not the way we thought about contract management. We built a system that can be used by legal, but also operations, sales, CS teams. At the end of the day, a lot of people are actually touching contracts every day and wanted to make sure that we have a platform that's going to be useful for everyone. So if you're looking for a tool that is very, very, very specific to your industry, this is not us. If you're looking for a system that's going to work well for most people in your company, this is probably more for Concord. And the big focus for us has always been about simplicity. You'll see a few screenshots of Concord. We can't do screen sharing. I'm sorry, this is not a tool that allows us to do this. So we went for screenshots. And you'll see we always try to make it look like Google, like Gmail, so people understand how it works. So that's basically, in 2 words, who we are. I'm going to play a very short 60-second video just to give you a quick idea of what we are about to release. And I think especially some existing customers that are here are going to be very interested in this. So let's do this. Only 60 seconds. All right, and so basically what you're going to see very quickly here is the new version of Concord that we're about to release next month, which is entirely rebuilt for AI. And we'll dig into the specific features that match the framework we've been talking about. But basically, you will see everything. It's going to be on a chat-based format. We do automatically custom data extraction from absolutely everything on your contracts. You can obviously sign your documents. It's a classic CLM. I'm not going to dive too much into the classic features you probably all know about when it comes to CLM. And there, once again, we are really an horizontal platform. And we have a UI that is entirely customizable, so very like Notion-like for people that will use Notion. And we have all the things that you can expect from a CLM when it comes to security. And for the information, we're based in Texas, but we also have an office in Europe. And so when it comes to GDPR and EU requirements, we're very, very much in compliance with all of this. All right, so now I did my job, showed you all of this. Let's talk more about really how we're trying to solve the problem that we mentioned with a new version of Concord that is about to be released broadly in November, so in a month from now. It's already in early access with some existing customers. And this is a brand new version that we call internally Concord Horizon. And so what is special about it? What we decided to do after 10 years working at Concord is to rebuild entirely the platform from scratch to be AI native. This is very important because we do believe that AI, even if it has problems today, it is absolutely transformative in the way companies work. And so what we have seen a lot right now, and I think that's why a lot of people have problems with CLM and AI, is because a lot of companies have built some kind of a layer of AI on top of an outdated platform. If you have a platform that is 10 years old and you just like plug an AI layer on top of it, you're going to run into a lot of limitations and issues. And so we understood that very quickly. And so by about 2 years ago, we decided to just bite the bullet and rebuild everything to be AI native. And I will show you what it means and what it actually let us do. One of the things about Concord Horizon also, it's entirely built around agents. The idea is you're going to be able to create your agents. You're going to be able to manage them and share them across your company. And the last thing, which is Horizon has been entirely built around an MCP. And I'll go back more to what an MCP is for people that aren't familiar with this, but I do believe this is probably one of the most interesting breakthrough in terms of technology when it comes to AI. And we'll do a quick demo about this. All right, let's quickly move.
I'll just interrupt and say that you did a really good job pitching Concord. So thank you for that. Made my job a lot easier.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All right. So let's go through a few things about Concord and how we are changing things a little bit right now. So this is just a quick screenshot. Once again, I wish I could share my screen. I cannot. But what do you see here? This is the inbox that you have on Concord. You have all your documents. What's hard to show you in just a screenshot is how basically the table works. We rebuilt everything to make sure that anything that is data is filterable and accessible. So you can literally build the views the way you want. If there is some kind of a data that either that is standard to Concord that you created, you can add it to your views, to your reporting. It is entirely customizable here. So that's really about getting that data to you. You're not forced and limited to specific views. So for people who use Notion, this is very similar to this. And this is a massive upgrade compared to what we even have today on the current version of Concord. So we're very excited about. Obviously, we do the classic thing that any CLM will do. You can obviously manage your documents, edit them, sign them. I'm not going to spend more time on this. Classic CLM. I'm going to focus more on the AI and the data today because this is really our topic. But if you have any questions, please ask us, and we're happy to give you demos also with an actual moving screen after this webinar. So now, let's really talk about what Concord Horizon is about. We basically rebuilt entirely the platform around AI. And so in particular, what we believe is that people are going to change the way they interact with software. They're going to stop having to create complex views themselves. They are just going to ask the AI to do it for them. And so here, let me show you exactly what it looks like. You are able in Concord, a little bit like ChatGPT, that I'm sure a lot of you have tested. You have now the ability to directly talk to the AI on Concord, the same way you do on ChatGPT. You have that discussion, and automatically the AI will be able to do what you ask it to do. So here, for instance, we just asked to create a report with all the contracts that are renewing in Q3, that are active in Q3 over $40,000. And I wish I could show you this because it's very magic, the report just being created, and it works extremely well. And so it means that you don't have to configure a report anymore yourself. You can just ask the AI to do it, and then you can interact with the AI to update the report and change it. And so this is really the approach here. We rebuilt entirely the backend. We rebuilt everything when it comes to data, so the AI can natively access it. So massive upgrade compared to what exists today. And we do believe that it's going to simplify everything for people. You're not going to have to understand how the system works. You just ask the AI and it works. Maybe something I should mention here is, as you can see here, on the bottom of the screen, you actually get to choose the model that you are using. This is something very important to us. We're very transparent about the technology that we are using. There's a lot of discussions today on the market when it comes to CLM or AI around some companies that are just wrappers around a ChatGPT, and they charge you more for something that you're already paying when it comes to ChatGPT. This is not the way we do this. We actually tell you which model we're using, and you actually get to choose them. And when it comes to AI and the cost of AI, what we will be doing with Horizon is we are making our customers pay by volume what they use for AI, but we do that at cost. We are not taking any cut on this. And so you pay what OpenAI or ChatGPT or the others will make you pay. So this is really important for us. So we're not trying to, make money on your back, basically. So this is a little bit something I wanted to mention. Okay, so you can ask the AI, you can talk to it, build a report. What else can you do? And also, again, with the idea that we want to solve these issues about the workflows that we see today. Something that we're going to be launching very soon too is basically an agent library. I mentioned our Concord is going to be agent-powered. And this is, for instance, a library of your agents that you will have on Concord. So there's a few examples here, different type of agents you can build. One type of agent, and this is really important, is going to be custom data extraction. So here, for instance, I'm going to be able to have the ability to extract specific governing laws in the EMEA. You're going to be able to find specific clauses when it comes to IP. You get to decide exactly what you want. And how does it work? Let me show that quickly. You basically just have a conversation with the AI. You ask the AI what you want to extract. And the AI has been trained to ask you the right question and understand exactly how you want this to be extracted. Because maybe you want, I don't know, a specific format for the data. So you're going to be able to do this and ask the AI to build the right format. Is it a dash? Is it a slash? You can really do anything that you want here. The AI will ask you to select a few documents to test. And so you can actually see the results. And then if you're satisfied, you can push. So that's basically the approach regarding custom extraction. This is very key because today, we have AI on Concord, but it's rigid. And so in the future, customers are going to be able to literally customize anything they want very easily.
Yeah, Matt, I'll just say that is one of the most requested features that we currently have in Concord, and it's something that people are wanting and needing, and so we're very excited that we're releasing that.
Yeah. And if I go back to the slide before, this is important because obviously agents are not just about custom data extraction. AI is very good today at extracting data. It's also very good at other things. It's very good at just reviewing documents against a playbook. And so what you're going to be able to do with Concord Horizon is to basically define a playbook. Let's say all my NDAs in my company must have these specific clauses. And then every time someone will upload an NDA, the agent will be running and will be able to flag any document that has discrepancies with your policy. That is something that AI does well. And the other thing that AI does well, for instance, are things around formatting. So a lot of companies sometimes want to have a specific way that the contract should be looking. And that's something we're going to be able to do with Concord Horizon. You define exactly the look and feel of your document, and then the AI will be able to do that for you. No more manual editing of your documents, things like this. So this is the way today how AI does very well, extracting data, routing document and flagging issues compared to your policies, and then anything that is repetitive task. This is working. And we'll go back to what's not working.
Matt, can I interrupt for a quick question from the
Please.
chat? There's a question here. How are you thinking of leveraging AI for quality? For example, if I want to see contracts that have different clauses, etc.
Absolutely. That's exactly something you can do with the Copilot of what we basically built. So the way it's going to work is you'll be asking just here directly the AI, and it will be able to look for your contract base, or you can specify specific contracts, and you'll be able to get your answer. It's pretty cool, to be honest. And this is something that works well. What doesn't work well with AI is, when you start asking to actually go into the creation of legal content, and that gets a bit messy, but we'll get back to this.
Great.
All right. Now, there is something I want to show you all because I think this is the most important part, especially when it comes to the workflows. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what an MCP is. So what is an MCP? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's a bit of a barbaric word, but basically see this as the USB protocol for AI. I'm old enough to remember when every single system of hardware had their own little cable, and it was a nightmare. And then USB-A and now USB-C. I'm very happy that Apple stopped doing their Lightning cables. It's nice to have one protocol that works everywhere. MCP is basically this for AI. Why does this matter? Because it means that we already have, when it comes to AI, one standard protocol that works for everything. So protocol that was created by Anthropic, the company behind Claude AI, And this is brand new. They started talking about it in November of last year, and the last specification are just from June, so just 3-4 months ago now. What's interesting is all the AI providers have already adopted this protocol, so it is the one protocol. There is no problem of, like back in the days, the CD-ROM and the CD-RAM. This is just one, everyone is using it, and yeah. So now let's actually see what it looks like, what it does. So we actually recorded a quick video just before this that we're able to play. It's about 4 minutes long, I believe, but I'll just explain exactly what's going on. Once again, I apologize. I would like to show you that live, but if you book a demo with us, we'll be able. All right, so what's going on right now? We are basically right now on Claude. We're not on Concord, we are on Claude. You can use ChatGPT, it will work the same way. And what is happening? We connected Claude to Concord through that MCP I was just mentioning. And I'm directly asking on Claude about my contracts. And so here we took this, all of this is tech data, but basically we asked for a document between Concord and HEC from a school back in France. And what's going on? Claude is able basically to directly ping Concord and get the information about this specific document. And by the way, you can look at the same thing here. This is a French company, and we take that example for a specific reason. It's because the contract is in French, yet the AI is able to read it, get the information. And so it basically got all the information I want about this contract, and I'm actually asking about, is there an amendment? And if there is, can you just give me a brief that recaps, the master argument and the amendment? And there we are. It found an amendment and is giving me the actual brief. This is important because, when you have a contract with 12 amendments and they all modify different things, it gets very, very complicated very quickly. And that's something that you can do. And what's very cool here is what I'm showing you right now that you can do on Claude. You can also do it on Concord directly, by the way. It works also on our Copilot. This is important. So yeah, so that's basically what you can do on Claude. Another example here is, hey, build me a report about my contracts. So once again, you can do it on Concord. We talked about this, but you can also do it here if you want to. So here, once again, this is Claude, but it also works on ChatGPT. It works on Perplexity or any AI that you use. And so it takes, a minute or two, depending on the thing. And what just happened here is that it's going to build the report on Claude. It's also going to build immediately the report on Concord, so you can keep track of this. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And there we are.
We say it's going to take a little bit of time, but imagine reading through everything manually.
Yes,
that would take a lot more time.
We get sometimes annoyed with AI because things take 20 seconds when it used to take 2 hours, but 20 seconds is still too long, right? It's the problem. So it's building the entire report for me right now on Claude. And you'll see we're actually going to switch quickly to Concord, refresh that page, and you can see the report is right there. And you have access also on it on Concord, meaning that you can filter with all the features that you can expect here. Whereas obviously on Claude, it's more of a report, a written report. You can't do much with it. So yeah, so that's basically what you can do with an MCP. Is really the idea of being able to work from anywhere and access your data. All right, I think there might be another use case that we were showing after. Yeah, and so just something here, you can ask about specific clauses about your contracts. You don't have to go on your CLM to do this. And so this is very important because it means you can work from anywhere at any time. All right, so I'm going to pause this. And then really, so talk about the MCP, what it allows you to do. So one, you can work with anything. There's no more API. It works with any CRM, doc, messaging storage system that has an MCP, obviously. It also means that you can set up the same workflows and policies across different tools. If it's defined on Concord, you can call that policy and apply it the right way on a different system. And what's interesting, and we talked about this, the standardized part is to make sure you still have one source of truth, and you can do this because all the data does live on Concord, and you're going to be able to update that data, and it will always stay the source of truth. I see we have a few questions, so I'm going to quickly, I think some of them are going to be answered with some in the next slide, and we'll talk more about the MCP in a second. Okay, so what does that mean you can do? Well, a lot of things. It's not just about asking about a contract. It's actually be able to chain the chain workflows between tools. Something that is really cool today is when I use ChatGPT or Claude, there is that new MCP with Concord that we're about to release. It's already in test internally with some customers, but they already have an MCP with Gmail, with HubSpot, and other systems. So what does it mean? I can literally today basically ask ChatGPT to go in my emails, check all the contracts that I may have received because they were signed by email and signed manually, to automatically put them in Concord with the right information, and then update Salesforce or HubSpot to create the actual customer record. And then I can even ask it to send a message on Slack to the CS team so they can take care of the customer. This is the type of things that can actually work today. Only condition is for different providers to have built these tools. But as I mentioned, this is something that is adopted by everyone now. Google has one, HubSpot has one, Stripe has one. So MCP is going to become a little bit the standard. So a lot of things like this, I'm not going to spend more time on different use cases, but you get the idea. Everything can be done, and it's just one-click connection, and it works. So what do you have to check when it comes to this? I think it's very important, first of all, to talk about security when it comes to this. So first of all, when you install an MCP, please make sure that you're using a proper way to connect to that. Don't use a random API key that is out in the open. This is dangerous. Use OAuth. Ideally, at Concord, we used OAuth 2.1, which is the latest standard when it comes to security. And so please be very careful. Everything in the case of OAuth, it will be logged, auditable, etc. So that's the first thing that I would mention. Second thing is in terms of something security, it's great. Concord or Claude has access to your data. Can you make sure that you should make sure that the data that access to is really what you should be responsible for, right? And so when it comes to Concord, any system that you connect to Concord with MCP, they only have access to the documents that you have access, you personally as a user. And the last thing is when it comes to MCP, making sure that you get a system that really does everything. A lot of people right now are releasing MCP with 2 or 3 options. Make sure that you have something that can really help you do everything. All right. So a few questions I want to answer quickly here. I think there's a lot of questions that we've seen in the past about what does it mean when you use AI? Can AI be trained on this? When it comes to any AI you use within Concord, we have zero retention policies with our providers. And so nothing that you do on Concord will be trained by them. Absolutely nothing. Then when you do plug the MCP in a different system, that depends on that system. So typically we have accounts on ChatGPT or on Claude, and we do have with them, since it's an enterprise account, they cannot train their data on our own data, and therefore it is safe. If you do use some other system that do not make sure you opt out of that training that data, you probably should be careful about this.
And Matt, I just want to highlight, I think that's why it's so important that we're letting any of these different, applications, like we're letting the end user choose, because their companies have their own internal policies, and a lot of them have already approved Microsoft Copilot. They've already approved,
Exactly.
OpenAI, and so that's why it's so important that we're enabling them to come in. So.
Yeah. All right, so that's the MCP. There's a lot of things that this unlocks, and it can really build all your workflows and simplify everything. So we try to cover a little bit of things here, but as you mentioned, like how do we solve, once again, going back to the framework, and then we can answer the 3 big questions we mentioned at the beginning. But the standardization comes from this custom extraction field we talked about. You need to be able to control your data. It's your data. You should be able to really configure it. It needs to make sure then that it's unified everywhere and it's accessible in different systems. And so then when it comes to workflows, agents can help you basically make sure your workflows are respected across the company. You can create agent that you can share across the company and make sure people use this and nothing else. And then obviously the MCP means that that data is accessible anywhere. And if that data is accessible, you can build any report and you can start really looking into the different bottlenecks in your different processes, not just the contract, the legal aspect of things, but just on the workflows. Where does it lose? Where do you lose time because there is 3 or 4 back and forth instead of 1, for instance? So that's the thing that it allows. All right, so let's go to the question. I'm looking at the time, about 15 minutes. So we're going to try to go a little bit fast here, but I want to go back to that question of what is my role today? If you are in legal or legal ops, what does that mean? And what can AI really do? And what it should probably not do and you should keep doing? So let's look a little bit about the entire process that you can have in a company. And so here we listed a little bit the different actors. Obviously, depending on the size of your company, your process that might change a little bit, but we have the legal ops. Still got to design a process. This is really what matters. And with AI, this is assuming that you are using a CLM with AI. The legal ops should be doing and building the playbooks and the agents and measure all the outcomes. The GCs are still going to set the risk policies, approve the playbooks. This is not changing. What can the AI actually do? Execute repeatable policy-bound tasks. That's what we try to show you today. Extracting data, great. Summarizing a document, great. Routing the right document depending on the workflows, perfect. Drafting something, yes, but you should probably get it reviewed by someone. This is what AI does well today. And your CLM should keep being your backbone. This is really about storing the data, making sure the permissions are right in your system, and building reports, and then becoming that MCP hub that I mentioned. We'll probably send a presentation to everyone after. We did a quick RACI for people who know how this works, but this is a good way to have a mental way to see who is responsible for what, who is accountable for what. But probably this one is the most important thing for me, is the difference between, once again, your role today versus AI. And so when it comes to defining the policy, when it comes to the exception, when it comes to approving anything, this is going to still be you. It should be you today, and it will probably still be you tomorrow. And we'll talk about what we think about this world in 3 years from now. What the agents can do, simple things, extraction, close comparison, etc., etc. This is something that you need to define first, and then the AI can act on this, but the AI cannot act without you. And then CLM, we already talked about this. But the one thing we know is that do not delegate to an AI or to an agent the actual legal judgment. This is not going to work. Do not ask them to create your policies. This is not going to work. And when it comes to approvals, it won't be able to do this well. You still need to be there. So this is really that's why we're very careful at Concorde when it comes to AI. We're not going to promise you things that just don't work. We'll tell you right away. We know what works and we know what doesn't. And this is, I think, important for everyone to keep that in mind. All right. How do we think this is going to change in the next few years? What does that mean for your career and for your team's career in 3 years from now? What I think is going to happen is that when it comes to the legal team, so I'm talking about the legal and the GC with the legal knowledge here, this team, your teams, are going to be more and more focused on handling exceptions, building these policies, and really be more of a partner for the business. What I think is going to stop happening with AI, and I'm talking about 3 years from now, please, this is not something you should be doing right now, but we think that all the first pass reviews will be entirely automated with AI. The data entry is already happening right now. And I think when it comes to approvals, the technology are going to start to get better and better, and this is going to happen. So on the legal side, if you are part of the legal knowledge teams, I think you're going to start shifting more and more toward more of a policy engineering aspect of things and really handling the exceptions more than probably a lot of the repetitive work that you do today. So that's on the legal knowledge side. What about legal ops, which is slightly different in companies? I think legal ops, what's going to happen is they're going to stop working on just connecting the pipes that they do today. Legal ops is a hard job. You have to connect your CLM to 12 different systems. It doesn't always work. You have to make sure the data is consistent everywhere. This is going to disappear because MCP is here and that data will flow natively. So what will legal ops be more about? It's going to be more about managing your agents, making sure that they're working well, that they are optimized, that they are actually used the way they should be used. And so this is really what it means. And so I think a lot of the low value work and complex work when it comes to building pipes is going to kind of disappear. And it's going to become more of an orchestrator, basically, of the agents. So a bit of managing a team of agents. It is probably what we think is going to happen here. And then same thing here. What does that mean for teams, I think, in the future, what people can expect? You need an MCP. This is absolutely clear. And you are going to basically just have a group of agent library in 3 years from now that you'll be basically just updating over time. There will be a lot of self-improvement going on. And what you should probably be looking for as a legal team and legal ops in particular is really at the end of the day, the KPIs that you have for your company. And so probably cycle time, the number of times a contract is touched by people. A lot of these metrics that you know are very common in sales in particular, I think are going to become more and more available in the legal ops world because the data will be better and you'll be able to actually understand all this. All right, there was the last question I want to answer, something really about what you should be doing today, and this way we'll have some time for the questions. So what do you need to do right now to prepare yourself and your company when it comes to AI for the future? So what you need to do right now is start standardizing your contract data. This is really the backbone of everything. If you do not have data, there is no point of having a CLM. So that's just what it is at the end of the day. So that's the one thing. Define the key field that you want and work with a vendor to get that. So it could be Concord, could be someone else. But this is the one thing. It's all about data at the end of the day. The other thing that you should start doing right away is really starting to look into agents, the one that do work and that are good at. Do not try to think that you're going to be able to replace your entire legal team with agents. That's not going to work. But some agents are good at extracting data, at comparing a document compared to a playbook. You should start building them today. It takes some time to understand how they actually work. So we have our customers building them, but the technology is getting better, and I think the understanding of agents is starting to get better and better. And please, the other thing you need to start today is make sure your team are not using some random AI that they're not supposed to, because when it comes to data security, that's a problem. And people don't learn because they do it the wrong way, and then they think the AI can't help them when it could actually maybe do that. So that's the thing that typically the shadow GPTs is a big no-no. We recommend that you look into this if it's the case in your company. All right. Now, that's more for the legal ops. When it comes to legal, what do you have to do today? Once again, you should probably start working more seriously with legal ops if that's not the case already today. Legal ops is, when it comes to GC, legal ops is your best friend right now because they are going to be the people that enable you to do the future work. And it takes time to build this system, unfortunately, let's be clear. It doesn't happen over 2 weeks. And so work with legal ops if you do not today. And I think you're going to start being able very quickly to see the amount of manual work to do on very standard reviews going away very quickly. So the manual drafting, the routine approvals that you see, you should probably start thinking that this is not worth your time. And CLM can help you do that, and AI in particular can. And my last slide is, just a quick recap. When it comes to you in particular, you need to get to use AI. If you do not use AI today, as we saw, 80% of legal teams are using AI. So I think most of you are if you are in this call. But if you're not, it is time to do so. What I always tell even my teams at Concord is that if you do not master AI, AI will master you. And so this is very important to understand that this technology is groundbreaking. It is not working for everything, but it's getting better every day, and it can review a lot of things. This is important. Learn how to design prompts and playbooks. This is honestly getting better by the day. You don't have to do these complex prompts like we used to 2 years ago, but there's still some tricks that you need to learn over time. Particularly, you need to learn how to challenge the AI, otherwise it's a bit sycophant and it will just always tell you that it's great. And so there's a few tricks here. For instance, at Concord, I always tell the AI that it should stop grading everything like an American, but ask it actually to grade like a French person. Because, in France, we always think that everything is terrible. And so we will tell the AI to do this, and it's funny how your score go from 9 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10. So there's things like this that are actually, it's a bit of a joke, but it's working very well. You need to challenge the AI, otherwise you're not going to get the result you expect. And then obviously KPI are going to become more and more important. Legal ops are going to be more and more about these metrics and the impact on the business. This is important because this is how we justify the investment in these technologies and the time that it takes. All right, I see a few questions. Zach, you want to maybe address some of the questions that we've seen? I've talked a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a current customer asking how they get early access to the system. Feel free to reach out. We will put you in touch with the right people. And I don't know, Matt, anything you want to talk about the beta version of the system or early access?
No, absolutely. Contact us. We basically are giving access right now. We're rolling that to several customers in the next few weeks. So we can put you on the list. We'll be happy to.
Awesome. There's another question about which is better, Copilot or Microsoft Copilot. You're probably referring to Concord's Copilot. The great thing about our Copilot is it's built into the tool and it's specific for your contract data. But the cool thing also with the MCP server is you could use Microsoft Copilot with that if you wanted to. So it's really up to you. We'll leave that up to your decision. There's a few questions here about working with different LLMs and what that means on the confidentiality standpoint. I think you did a good job of addressing those, so I think we've covered that. There's a question about how does MCP work with APIs with commercial LLMs?
Yes.
Matt,
so basically, an MCP will technically, it's an API, right? It's just a way for the AI to understand a specific API. So at Concord, we had to rebuild entirely our API. So we have the normal API that we have today, and then we built a new one that the LLM is able to understand. And so you have to do a lot of work there. And so that's basically exactly what it is. And so what you need on the LLM side is obviously for this LLM to have to accept MCPs. So that's the case of Anthropic, of OpenAI, and the others. And then it just works. And so I'm not sure really I answer your questions here, but there's no need for an API. You don't need any of this. It's connect with OAuth, one click, enter your email, validate this, and it's done. It just works. It's very magical.
Yep, absolutely. Another question from a current customer. They'd love to learn more about how to standardize their data within Concord, which we can definitely help you with. We have a lot of new field types, a lot of new things that we have in our current Concord solution. And then, of course, with our new Horizon platform, it'll be easier than ever. So We're definitely happy to help with that. I think that's kind of most of the questions here that I'm seeing. If you have other questions, feel free to put them in. We have a few more minutes left. But yeah, I think we've tackled most of them.
I see a question about trend analysis, for instance. This is a good question. I think, what we're trying to do when it comes to data at Concord, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that it's your data. It should be accessible the way you want it and do the reporting that you want. That's why we built entirely Concord with that concept of a bit like Notion. For people who use Notion, don't use Notion, it's a very cool system. You have a different type of data, and you can really visualize the data the way you want and pull data across the entire system. And so at the end of the day, we are going to be able to let you decide to build your own trend analysis. You will talk to the AI about what you want to do. And if the data exists, the AI will build it for you. And I see Elliot being back, where I think about to be on time.
Yes, we're right at the hour mark. So thank you, Matt and Zach, for your time and insights. very important information, and you guys made it really very practical, for our audience. It was very, very helpful. So I want to thank the audience for joining us. We hope it was valuable to you. Thank you again to our speakers and to Concord for their support. Give me 5 more seconds of your time. If your question did not get answered, you may receive an email response, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you missed any part of this presentation, it will be archived shortly, probably by tomorrow at law.com, so you can view it again or you can refer someone to it. That's always helpful. And while you're on that page, we encourage you to explore other upcoming and on-demand webcasts that we offer. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.